Hi, my name is Shinko. Welcome to my channel. We have been attempting to escape from the horrors of real life in reality with The Warriors, the Forest of Secrets. It is the third book in the series. If you are new and interested and you like cats, check out my other videos. I've read the previous 2 books already. Trigger warning, if you cannot handle life and death because characters do come and go, probably not the story for you. We left off still at the beginning of chapter 1. The first chapter always is the longest because it's getting things set up. We are right before a gathering, which happens once a month with all the cats. Broken Tail, which used to be Broken Star, is now a prisoner in ThunderClan camp. But Blue Star has decided the other clans don't necessarily need to know this. So, let's begin. Blue Star waited until meows of agreement came from the assembled cats. Then she flicked her tail to signal that the ThunderClan cats could join the other clans below. She raced down through the bushes with Tiger Claw just behind her, his huge paws scattering snow. Fireheart bounded after them. As he slid out of the bushes into the clearing, he saw that Tiger Claw had stopped close by and was giving him a suspicious glare. "Gray Stripe," Fireheart hissed quietly over his shoulder. "I don't think you should go off with Silverstream tonight. Tiger Claw's already..." Fireheart suddenly realized that Gray Stripe was no longer beside him. Looking around, he saw his friend disappearing behind the great rock. A heartbeat or 2 later, Silverstream skirted around a group of ShadowClan cats and followed him. Fireheart sighed. He glanced at Tiger Claw, wondering if the deputy had seen them go. But Tiger Claw had pattered away to join One Whisker from Wind Clan, and Fireheart let the fur lie flat on his shoulders again. Pacing restlessly across the clearing, Fireheart found himself near a group of elders, Patchpelt from ThunderClan, and the others he did not know, crouching beneath the glossy-leaved holly bush where the snow did not lie so thickly. Keeping one eye out for Gray Stripe, Fireheart settled down to listen to their conversation. "I remember a leaf bear even worse than this." It was an old black Tom who spoke, his muzzle turned to silver and his flanks scarred from many a fight. He had the scent of a Wind Clan on his short patchy fur. "The river was frozen more than 3 moons." "You're right, Crowfur," a tabby queen agreed, "and prey was scarcer too, even for River Clan." Fireheart felt surprised that the 2 elders from recently hostile clans could talk calmly without spitting hatred at each other. But then, they were elders, he reflected. They must have seen many battles in their long lives. "Young warriors today," the old black cat added with a glance at Fireheart. "They don't know what hardship is." Fireheart scuffled among the dead leaves under the bush and tried to look respectful. Patchpelt crouched close to him, gave him a friendly flick with his tail. "That must have been the season when Bluestar lost her kits," recalled the ThunderClan elder. Fireheart pricked up his ears. He remembered Dappletail saying something once before about Bluestar's kits, which were born just before she became clan deputy. But he had never learned how many kits she had or how old they were when they died. "And do you remember the thaw of that leaf bear?" Crowfur interrupted Fireheart's thoughts, his eyes unfocused as he lost himself to his memories. "The river and the gorge rose nearly as far as the badger sets." Patchpelt shivered. "I remember it well. ThunderClan couldn't cross the stream to come here for the gathering." "Cats were drowned," the River Queen the River Clan Queen remembered sadly. Pray too, Crowfur added. The cats who survived nearly starved. May Star Clan grant it's not as bad this season, Patchpout meowed fervently. Crowfur spat. These young cats would never cope. We were tougher in those days. Fireheart could not help protesting. We have strong warriors now. Who'll ask your opinion? Growled the cranky old Tom. You're hardly more than a kid. But we... Fireheart broke off as the air was filled with a shrill yowl, and all the cats fell silent. He turned his head to see 4 cats on top of the great rock, silhouettes in the silver moonlight. Shh! Hissed Patchpout. The meeting's about to start. He twitched his ears at Fireheart and purred softly. Take no notice of Crowfur. He'd find fault with StarClan. Fireheart gave Patchpout a grateful look, tucked his paws under him, and settled down to listen. Tall Star, the Wind Clan leader, began by announcing how his cats were recovering after the recent battle against River Clan and Shadow Clan. One of our elders has died, he meowed, but all our warriors will live to fight another day, he added meaningfully. Nightstar flattened his ears and narrowed his eyes, while Crooked Star let out a threatening growl from deep in his throat. Fireheart's fur prickled. If the leaders started to fight, their cats would too. Had it ever happened at a gathering before? He wondered. Surely not even Nightstar, Shadow Clan's bold new leader, would risk the anger of Star Clan by breaking the sacred truce. As Fireheart apprehensively watched the bristling cats, Blue Star stepped forward. This is good news, Tall Star, she meowed smoothly. All of us should rejoice to hear that Wind Clan grows strong again. Her blue eyes glowed in the moonlight as she glanced at the leaders of Shadow Clan and River Clan. Nightstar turned away from her gaze, and Crooked Star dipped his head, his expression unreadable. It had been Shadow Clan, under Broken Star's cruel command, who had first driven Wind Clan away so that they could extend their own hunting grounds. River Clan had taken advantage of their exile to hunt in the deserted territory, but after Broken Star's exile, Blue Star had convinced the other leaders that the life of the forest depended on all 4 clans, and that Wind Clan should return. Fireheart shivered as he remembered the long and difficult journey he had made with Greystripe to find Wind Clan and bring them home to their bleak upland territory. That reminded him of how he meant to cross the uplands again to find Ravenpaw, and he shifted uneasily. He was not looking forward to the journey. At least Wind Clan are friendly towards Thunder Clan, he thought, so we shouldn't get attacked on the way. Thunder Clan cats are also recovering, Blue Star went on, and since the last gathering, 2 of our apprentices have become warriors. They will now be known as Dustpelt and Sandstorm. Yowls of approval came up from the massive cats below the great rock. Mostly, Fireheart noticed, from ThunderClan and WindClan. He caught a glimpse of Sandstorm, sitting with her pale ginger head raised proudly. The gathering proceeded more peacefully now. Fireheart remembered the previous gathering when the leaders had accused one another of hunting outside their own territory, but no cat mentioned this now. A group of rogue cats, led by Broken Tail, had been responsible, but the news that these rogue has attacked the ThunderClan camp had been soundly defeated, but it did not seem to have spread. Blue Star's secret about the blind Broken Tail was safe for now. When the meeting was over, Fireheart looked around for Greystripe. If they were going to see Ravenpaw, they needed to leave soon, while the other ThunderClan cats were still in the hollow and would not notice which way they went. Fireheart caught the eye of Swiftpaw, Longtail's apprentice, sitting in the middle of a group of young cats from Shadow Clan. Swiftpaw looked away guiltily. At any other time, Fireheart might have called him over and told him to find his mentor for the journey home. But right now, all he cared about was finding Graystripe immediately. He forgot Swiftpaw as soon as he saw his friend weaving his way towards him. There was no sign of Silverstream. "There you are!" Graystripe called, his yellow eyes shining. Fireheart could see that he had enjoyed the gathering, though he doubted that his friend had listened to much of the talk. "Are you ready?" he meowed. "To go and see Ravenpaw, you mean?" "Are you ready?" he meowed. "To go and see Ravenpaw, you mean?" "Shh, not so loud," Fireheart hissed, anxiously looking around. "Yes, I'm ready," Graystripe mewed more softly. "I can't say I'm looking forward to it. Still, anything to get Tiger Claw out of my fur. Unless you got a better idea?" Fireheart shook his head. "This is the only way." The hollow was still full of cats, preparing to leave in 4 directions. No cat seemed to pay any attention to Fireheart and Graystripe until they had almost reached the slope that led to WindClan's upland territory. Then a meow sounded behind them. "Hey, Fireheart! Where are you going?" It was Sandstorm. Fireheart shot a desperate glance at Graystripe. "We're going the long way around," he improvised quickly. "Mudclap from WindClan told us about a warren of young rabbits just inside our territory. We thought we'd bring back some fresh kill." Suddenly alarmed by the thought that Sandstorm might offer to come with them, he added, "Tell Bluestar, will ya, if she asks where we are?" "Sure," Sandstorm yawned, showing a mouthful of sharp white teeth. "I'll think about you, dashing after rabbits when I'm curled up in a nice warm nest." She padded off with a flick of her tail. Fireheart was relieved. He didn't like lying to her. "Let's go," he meowed to Graystripe, "before any other cat sees us. And thanks." The 2 young warriors slid into the shelter of the bushes and crept up the slope. At the top, Fireheart paused for a moment, looking back to make sure they had not been followed. Then he and Graystripe bounded over the rim of the hollow and raced toward the moorland, and beyond that, the 2-leg farm. "This is the only way," Fireheart repeated to himself as he ran. He had to find out the truth, not just for Redtail and Ravenpaw, but for the sake of the whole clan. Tiger Claw had to be stopped before he had a chance to kill again. Chapter 2. Fireheart sniffed warily at a path where the snow had been trampled down by 2-legs. Light shone from the 2-leg nest, and somewhere close by he could hear a dog barking. He remembered Barley telling them that the 2-legs let their dogs off the chains at night. He just hoped that he could locate Ravenpaw before he and Graystripe were noticed. Graystripe slipped through the fence and padded up to him. The icy wind flattened his gray fur against his body. "Smell anything?" he asked. Fireheart lifted his head to taste the air, and almost at once he caught the scent he was searching for. Faint but familiar. "Ravenpaw! This way!" he meowed. He crept along the path, the hard surface icy under his paws. Cautiously, he followed the scent to a gap at the bottom of a barn door where the wood had rotted away. He sniffed, drinking in the smell of hay and the strong, fresh scent of cats. "Ravenpaw?" he whispered. When there was no reply, he repeated, louder, "Ravenpaw? Fireheart, is that you?" A surprised mew came from the darkness on the other side of the door. "Ravenpaw!" Fireheart squeezed through the gap, thankful to be out of the wind. The scent of the barn flowed around him, and his mouth began to water as he detected the smell of mouse. The barn was dimly lit by moonlight filtering through a small window high under the roof. As his eyes adjusted, Fireheart saw another cat standing a few tail lengths away. His friend looked even sleeker and better fed than when Fireheart had seen him last. Fireheart realized how scrawny and bedraggled he must look in comparison. Ravenpaw purred happily as he padded over to Fireheart and touched noses with him. "Welcome," he mewed. "It's good to see you." "It's good to see you," Greasestripe meowed, pushing his way through the gap in the door after Fireheart. "Did you get WindClan back to the camp safely?" Ravenpaw asked. Fireheart and Graystripe had stayed with them during their journey to bring WindClan home last time. "Yes," meowed Fireheart, "but it's a long story. We can't—" "Well, what's going on here?" Another cat's meow interrupted them. Fireheart spun around, flattening his ears, ready to fight if this newcomer was a threat. Then he recognized Barley, the black and white loner who had willingly shared his home with Ravenpaw. "Hi, Barley," Fireheart meowed, calming down. "We need to talk to Ravenpaw." "So I see," Barley mewed. "And it must be important to bring you across the moors in this weather." "Yes, it is," Fireheart agreed. He glanced at the former ThunderClan apprentice, the urgency of his mission prickling through his fur. "Ravenpaw, we haven't any time to waste." Ravenpaw looked puzzled. "You know you could talk to me as much as you want." "Oh, I'll leave you to it then," Barley offered. "Feel free to hunt. We've plenty of mice here." He gave a friendly nod to the visiting cats and squeezed out under the door. "Huh? Really?" meowed Graystripe. Fireheart felt sharp pangs of hunger grip his belly. "Of course," meowed Ravenpaw. "Look, why don't you eat first? Then tell me why you're here." "I know Tiger Claw killed Redtail," Ravenpaw insisted. "I was there. I saw him do it." The three cats were crouched in the hayloft of the two-leg barn. Hunting had not taken very long. After the desperate struggle to find prey in the snow-covered forest, the barn seemed, due to the hungry ThunderClan warriors, to be overflowing with mice. Now, Fireheart was warm, and his stomach felt comfortably full. He would have liked to curl up and sleep in the soft, fragrant hay, but he knew that he had to talk to Ravenpaw right away if he and Graystripe were to get back to camp before their absence was noticed. "Tell us everything you remember," he urged, giving Ravenpaw an encouraging nod. Ravenpaw stared ahead of him, his eyes dark, as he journeyed back in his mind to the battle at the Sunning Rocks. Fireheart could see his confidence beginning to ebb. The black cat was losing himself in his memories, reliving the fear and the burden of what he knew. "I'd been wounded in the shoulder," he began. "And Redtail, he was our deputy then, as you know, told me to hide in the crack in the rock until it was safe to get away. I was just going to make a dash for it when I saw Redtail attack a RiverClan cat. I think it was that gray warrior called Stonefur. Redtail knocked Stonefur off his paws and looked as if he was about to sink his claws for some serious injury." "Why didn't he?" Graystripe put in. "Elkhart came out of nowhere," Ravenpaw explained. "He sank his teeth into Redtail's scruff and pulled him off Stonefur." His voice shook as the memories flooded through his mind's eye. "Stonefur ran away." The cat paused, unconsciously crouching down as if he was scared of something very close by. "What next?" Fireheart prompted gently. "Redtail spat at Elkhart. He asked him if RiverClan warriors were unable to fight their own battles. Redtail was brave," Ravenpaw added. "The RiverClan deputy was twice his size, and then Elkhart said a strange thing. He told Redtail no ThunderClan cat will ever harm that warrior." "What?" Graystripe narrowed his eyes until they were yellow slits. "That doesn't make sense. Are you sure you heard him right?" "Positive," insisted Ravenpaw. "But the clans fight all the time," meowed Fireheart. "What's so special about Stonefur?" "I don't know," Ravenpaw shrugged, shying away from their searching questions. "So, what did Redtail do to Elkhart after Elkhart said that?" asked Graystripe. Ravenpaw's ears pricked up and his eyes widened. He flew at Elkhart. He bowed right up his paws and underneath the rocky overhang. I couldn't see them, though I could hear them snarling. And then I heard a rumbling sound, and the rock collapsed on top of them. He stopped, shivering. Please, go on, Fireheart mewed. He hated putting Ravenpaw through this, but he had to know the truth. I heard a screech from Elkhart, and I saw his tail sticking out from under the rocks. Ravenpaw closed his eyes as if he wanted to shut out the sight, and then he opened them again. Just then, I heard Tiger Claw behind me. He ordered me to go back to the camp, but I'd only gone a little way when I realized I had no idea if Redtail was okay after the rock fall. So I crept back, past all the River Clown warriors that were running away. And when I got to the rocks, Redtail was charging out of the dust. His tail was straight up, and his fur stood on end, but he was all right. Not a scratch on him, that I could see anyway. And he ran straight into Tiger Claw. He was in the shadows. And that was when Graypaw began. Yes. Ravenpaw's claws flexed, as if he was imagining himself back in the battle. Tiger Claw grabbed Redtail and pinned him down. Redtail struggled, but he couldn't break free. And Ravenpaw swallowed and stared at the floor. Tiger Claw sank his teeth into Redtail's throat, and it was all over. He dropped his chin onto his paws. Fireheart moved closer to him and pressed his body against Ravenpaw's flank. So, Elkhart died when the rocks fell on him. It was an accident, he murmured. No cat killed him. That still doesn't prove that Tiger Claw killed Redtail, Graystripe pointed out. I don't see that any of this helps us at all. For a heartbeat, Fireheart stared at him, discouraged. Then his eyes widened, and he sat up, paws tingling with excitement. Yes, it does! If we can prove the Rockfall story, it shows that Tiger Claw was lying when he said Elkhart, killed Redtail, and when he claimed to have killed Elkhart in revenge. Just a minute, Graystripe interrupted. Ravenpaw, at the gathering, you didn't say anything about falling rocks. You made it sound as if Redtail killed Elkhart. Did I? Ravenpaw blinked and struggled to focus on Graystripe. I didn't mean to. This is what really happened, I promise. And that's why Blue Star wouldn't listen to us, Fireheart went on excitedly. She couldn't believe that Redtail would have killed another deputy, but Redtail didn't kill him. Blue Star will have to take us seriously now. Fireheart's brain was whirling with everything they had discovered. He wanted to ask Ravenpaw more questions, but he could smell the fear scent on his friend, and saw the old, haunted look in his eyes, as if telling the story had brought back all his unhappy memories of ThunderClan. Is there any more you could tell us, Ravenpaw? He mewed gently. Ravenpaw shook his head. This means so much to the clan, Fireheart told him. Hopefully, now we stand a chance at convincing Blue Star that Tiger Claw is dangerous. If she listens, Graystripe pointed out. It's a pity you told her Ravenpaw's first story, he added to Fireheart. Now he's changed everything. She won't know what to believe. But he hasn't changed everything, Fireheart protested, as Ravenpaw flinched at Graystripe's irritable tone. We misunderstood, that's all. I'll convince Blue Star somehow, he added. At least we know the truth now. The black cat looked a little happier, but Fireheart could see that he didn't want to think about the past anymore. He settled beside Ravenpaw, purring encouragement, and for a short while, the three cats shared tongues. Then Fireheart pushed himself to his paws. It's time we were on our way, he meowed. Take care, Ravenpaw meowed, and watch out for Tiger Claw. Don't worry, Fireheart assured him. You've given us what we need to deal with him. With Gray Stripe behind him, he slid under the door and ventured out into the snow. "It's freezing out here," Gray Stripe grumbled as he bounded down to the fence at the edge of Two Leg Farm. "We should have taken a couple more of those mice to feed the clan," he added. "Yeah, right," Fireheart retorted. "What will you tell Tiger Claw when he asks you where you found such fat mice in this winter weather?" The moon was close to setting, and soon the sky would begin to pale towards dawn. The chill of the snow soon penetrated Fireheart's winter-thick fur, even colder after the warmth of the barn. His legs were aching with weariness. It had been a long night, and they still had to cross Wind Clan's territory before they could rest in their own camp. Fireheart could not stop thinking about what Ravenpaw had told them. He was sure that his friend was telling the truth, but it would be hard to convince the rest of the clan. Bluestar had already refused to believe Ravenpaw's original story. Yet, that was when Fireheart thought Redtail had killed Oakheart. Bluestar could not accept the fact that Redtail would kill another warrior unnecessarily. Now Fireheart understood the real story, that Oakheart had died by accident. But how could Fireheart accuse Tigerclaw again unless he had something to back up what Ravenpaw had told him? The River Clan cats would know, he realized aloud, pausing under a rocky outcrop on the moorland slope where the snow was not so thick. "What?" meowed Gray Stripe, padding up to him to share the shelter. "No, what?" "How Oakheart died," Fireheart replied. "They must have seen Oakheart's body. They will be able to tell us whether he died from a rockfall and not a death blow from a warrior." "Yeah, the marks on his body would prove it," agreed Gray Stripe. "And they might know what Oakheart meant when he said that no Thunder Clan cat should attack Stonefur," Fireheart added. "We need to speak to a River Clan warrior who took part in the battle. Maybe Stonefur himself." "But you can't just walk into River Clan camp and ask," Gray Stripe protested. "Think of how tense it was at the gathering. It's too soon after the battle." "I know one River Clan warrior who would welcome you," Fireheart murmured. "If you mean Silverstream, yeah, I could ask her," Gray Stripe agreed. "Now, can we please get back to camp before my paws freeze completely?" The two cats padded onward, more slowly now, as weariness made their limbs heavy. They were within sight of 4 trees when they spotted 3 other cats climbing the hillside. The breeze carried the scent of a Wind Clan patrol to Fireheart. Not wanting to explain the presence of Wind Clan territory, he looked swiftly around for cover, but the snow stretched smoothly on all sides, with no rocks or bushes nearby. It was clear that the Wind Clan cats had already seen them, as they changed direction to meet them. Fireheart recognized the familiar, uneven gait of the clan deputy, Deadfoot, with the tabby warrior, Torn Ear, and his apprentice, Running Paw. "Hello, Fireheart," called Deadfoot, limping up with a puzzled look in his eyes. "You're a long way from home." Yeah," Fireheart admitted, dipping his head respectfully. We picked up a Shadow Clan scent trail and led us up here." "Shadow Clan on our territory?" Deadfoot's fur began to bristle. "I reckon it was an old scent," Gray Stripe put in hastily. "Nothing to worry about. We're sorry we crossed the border." "You're welcome here," meowed Torn-Ear. "The other clans would have destroyed us in that last battle if your clan hadn't helped. Now we're sure they'll keep away. They know they have Thunder Clan to reckon with." Fireheart felt embarrassed at Torn-Ear's praise. He and Gray Stripe had helped the Wind Clan cats in the past, but this time he was uncomfortable with the thought that any cats from Wind Clan had seen them on their territory. "We'd best be getting back," he muttered. "Everything seems quiet enough up here." "May Star Clan light your path," meowed Deadfoot gratefully. The other Wind Clan cats wished Fireheart and Gray Stripe good hunting and went on towards their own camp. "That was bad luck," Fireheart growled as he and Gray Stripe padded down the 4 trees. "Why?" asked Gray Stripe. "The Wind Clan cats didn't mind us on their territory. We're all friends now." "Use your brains, Gray Stripe," Fireheart meowed. "What if Deadfoot mentions that he saw us to Bluestar at the next gathering? She's bound to wonder what we are doing out here. Graystripe stopped. Mouse dung, he spat. I never thought of that. His eyes met Fireheart's, and Fireheart saw his own uneasy feelings reflected there. Bluestar won't like it if she finds out we're sneaking around investigating Tiger Claw. Fireheart shrugged. Let's just hope that we can all settle this before the next gathering. Now come on, we have to try to catch something to take back with us. He set off again, picking up the pace until the two cats were racing over the snow. As they skirted the hollow at Four Trees and entered their own forest territory, he relaxed a little, pausing to drink the air in hope of pricking up the scent of prey. Graystripe sniffed hopefully among the roots of a nearby tree, came back looking disappointed. Nothing, he grumbled. Not a single mouse. Not even a whisker. We haven't got time to keep looking, Fireheart decided. He saw that the sky was already growing lighter above the trees. Time was running out, and their absence from camp was more likely to be noticed with every heartbeat. Gonna end it there. We learned quite a bit. And there's quite a few problematic things. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to point out is Oakheart. Now, if we're paying attention, in the very beginning we read about, in the prologue, about some kits. Oakheart was the one that brought those kits to RiverClan. So, do you think those kits are still there? Do you think they may have aged and they might be warriors now? Because that's a very peculiar thing for any cat to say. Just generally speaking, it's very peculiar to say, hey, no one from this clan will harm this peculiar cat. I don't know. Maybe it's just me overthinking it. So, the version of how Oakheart and Redtail died has altered. So, one thing I'm going to actually praise this series on is how it depicts PTSD. It's very good. And shock as well. When you are witnessing something horrific and it's traumatic to you, you're not always able to get all the details. Like, you're not always able to remember everything, especially when you're questioned about it. As time goes on, your brain is kind of able to piece things together again. I know that from personal experience. So I do like how it's depicted with Ravenpaw. I do think Ravenpaw has some PTSD from Tiger Claw, understandably. And so, another thing I want to point out is there still seems to be a rift with the clans. ThunderClan and WindClan are friends, but because of that, ShatterClan and RiverClan kind of have no option but to team up. Is it necessarily a good thing that WindClan views ThunderClan in this lens of, oh, they'll know if they deal with us, they have to deal with these guys too? Is that good? Do you think that could potentially bring trouble in the future? Could WindClan develop a dependence on ThunderClan? And ultimately, I'll ask this question. Do you think it would be such a bad thing if WindClan and ThunderClan were together? And then ShadowClan and RiverClan were together? It'd be even on both sides, two clans. Or do you think it should remain as it is? 4 separate clans, together but separate. Let me know. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please be safe out there in this crazy mixed up universe of ours. Bye.